What's up, everybody? David Lee here. We're bringing former Longhorns defensive back Dylan Haines for a live, just kind of chat and Q&A. All right, Dylan says invite me again. All right, let's try it again.
Oh, there we
Add you
go.
on by camera. All right,
Hold on.
there we go.
Eyes is closed. Okay,
Sweet.
there we go. There we go.
Yep, that works.
Sweet.
Can you hear me okay,
Yeah, I
Dylan?
can hear you.
Awesome, cool. All right, let me position this to where. All right, cool. Yeah, that evens out pretty well.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, sweet. All right, well, cool. Everything's working now, so we got some people popping on here, and then obviously, more people will pop on later, and then we'll get this kind of shared out once we're done as well. But yeah, guys, invite anybody else on that you think might want to jump on, and then definitely share this out as well. But all right, now that we are good to go, so yeah, so Dylan, right before you popped on, I was just kind of going over. Some of the cool information about you being a former walk-on turned 3-year starter for the program, and 33 career
Yeah.
starts, 13 career interceptions, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw a stat of the second most interception return yards
Yeah.
in school history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact number. I think it's like, I want to say like 250 something. I know I was actually like 24 yards shy of number one, I think, because I had that number in my head. And it's funny going into that my last year, one of the last games against West Virginia, I had the interception in the end zone. And so I was like thinking to myself, if I run this 24 yards, I'll have a number one spot in the record books. But it ended up not being a good decision. And I was kind of caught at like 9 yards in the end zone. So I just decided to kind of go down, being a team player and all, not putting myself before the team. So yeah, I ended up 24 yards shy, I think, of the number one spot. But
Oh man.
yeah, anytime I got an
Oh
interception, I had some pretty good luck running it back. So that was good.
yeah, had some space to
Hmm.
run. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean interceptions are game changers, but if you can actually get some yardage out of them and
Hmm.
turn into an offensive player, that's
Yeah,
even
it's always
better.
fun.
So yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I'm gonna get this shared out a little bit too. So I'm actually got it open on my laptop here. But okay, that's one of the places I wanted to start too is maybe just talk about that. I mean, it's not every day that somebody comes to Austin as a walk-on
Right.
and a couple of years later ends up starting 3 full seasons. So what was that kind of journey like for you coming in really at the end of Mac
Hmm.
Brown's, tenure, and then also being there for the Charlie Strong era. And not many people can say that they played for two head coaches at Texas as well. So just talk a little bit about your journey coming into the program. What were your goals and expectations? And then correct me if I'm wrong. You were redshirted your first
Right.
year, and then you didn't play your redshirt freshman
Right.
year, but then was a full starter, for the next 3 years. So just kind of talk about that
Yeah,
journey.
for sure. I mean, first thing I want to say is it was an incredible ride. Aside from kind of the wins and losses and the way the seasons went, and the change in coaching, I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, it was incredible coming from where I came from to what I was able to accomplish. Just all around
Mm-hmm.
amazing. But yeah, coming there, Mac Brown was there when I graduated high school, and I thought I was a pretty good player in high school. I was a little undersized, not the fastest cat, that was out there. But I knew I wanted to play football, so I kind of recruited myself and sent my tape all over Texas. And everyone just got back to me and was like, we'd love to have you walk on, but we just don't have a spot for you. We don't have a scholarship for you. We just don't see it. And so, that kind of got me discouraged. And, I was like, well, if anything, I'm going to go and be a part of a great program, get a great education. And, my family went to Texas. My brother was there. He was a walk-on. He was a receiver. He was 2 years older than me. So I just decided,
Mm-hmm.
why not? I'll just go to Texas. I'll be a part of a great program. If I end up playing, great. But when you talk about like my goals and expectations, I didn't really have any because I was I knew I was good enough to play, but I didn't know if I was good enough to play at that level. I knew I wasn't good enough at that moment, right? Coming out of high school, I was like 6'1", 165. I was like, I'm not playing. Like, I'm not walking in there and playing by any means. So,
Right.
I just went there and I just, went to work every day. I focused on just getting, my thing was just get better at one thing every day. Like whether it's the smallest thing, whether it's just like my back pedal or my T-step or whatever it is, catching balls. And that's what I focused on. So like I said, I redshirted that first year. It was just kind of a practice dummy, just out there, giving a look for the first team offense. The next year, kind of the same thing. And that was Max last year. And, funny story about that year was, my second year, so my redshirt freshman year, I noticed I'm getting a little bit better. I'm developing as a player. I'm getting bigger. I'm like 190, 195 pounds. So I looked the part. I think my technique is there. I think I'm good enough to play on like special teams and kind of contribute. And so I thought I'd talk to my advisor about transferring. Just because I thought, I might not ever get the opportunity to play at Texas. I thought maybe if I could go to Texas State or Texas Tech or a smaller school, UTEP somewhere, I would get a fresh start and I'd get a chance to play and really prove myself. And so then Mac Brown ended up coming to practice one day and was like, look, after the bowl game, I'm gonna step down and there's gonna be a new coach, gonna be new everything. And so I said, well, I'll just stick it out then because that's pretty much what I was looking for. And it's gonna happen here at Texas. So new coach will come in, I'll get a new head coach, position coach, all that, and I'll kind of get a chance to reprove myself. And that's kind of exactly what happened. Was Coach Strong came in, he made it very clear to everyone that was there that was like, there's no starters, there's no backups, all of you are brand new to me, and so you're gonna have to go out there the first day of spring ball when he came in the spring and prove yourself. We'll just draw up a depth chart from the people that played last year and then we'll just go from there. So at that point I was getting equal reps with guys like Quandre Diggs, Michael Thompson, guys that had played there and started and were really good players. And so I just took advantage of those. And, it ended up working out for me. I went to work every day. I showed the coaches that I could play and they trusted me. So I started getting more and more reps. And then that spring, Coach Strong's first year was really my chance to kind of rise up. And I ended up, I think, like second on the depth chart going into fall camp. And then come the end of that, I was the starter week 1 versus North Texas, I think. So, and then, kind of the next 3 years, it's history. So, going through that whole thing, that whole process, it's easy to get discouraged. I got discouraged a lot, wondering if I'd ever get a chance, wondering if I'd ever get to step on the field. But it ended up paying off. And so I'm really thankful that I stuck it out.
Yeah. Do you think going through those first 2 years really changed you and really maybe prepared you better for what was going to come in the next 3 years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm glad that, like I said, like when people would ask me when I got my scholarship, like, how does it feel to be a scholarship player? Are you glad you're not a walk-on anymore? I'd always tell them, like, no, like I'm always a walk-on. Like that's how I got on the team. That's where I came from. I like to tell people I got it out the mud. I got my scholarship out the mud, unlike people that came out of high school and it was handed to them. So. I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I think those 2 years where I didn't play, it really helped me because, like I said, I was so focused on just improving myself and not worried about, like, I want to start this many games or I want to get this many interceptions or I want to play this many snaps. I was worried about, what can I get better at today? Like, how can I improve myself? How can I be, like, the best player I can be? And I figured if I did that, everything would take care of itself, and it always does. And that's what my parents told me. So that's what I did. And, I'm thankful that I listened.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So talk a little bit more about, being there for the shift in the program, which, Mac Brown was there for so long, won a national championship, went to another championship, and then here comes a brand new coaching staff, and, you were right in the middle of that. Like, what was your first impression of Coach Strong, and did you really kind of – it seems like that transition was kind of a perfect storm for you. Just in terms of you had put in 2 years of work, and kind of that underdog story, fan favorite type of player. So what was your kind of first impression of Coach Strong and him bringing in the staff, and then how did it kind of help shift your mindset to think, you talked about, I'm going to stick around now. But did you just look at that as like, man, this is my chance? Like this is my real opportunity to really just get like a blank slate, fresh start.
Yeah. So when Coach Strong came, it was definitely, you could feel a change in the program as soon as he got there. He brought everyone in the team room and he was like, listen, I'm here now. things are going to start to change. Little things from, how you go to the eat and dining hall, from what's in the weight room, what snacks are available, to, how practice is going to run, how things are going to operate, who's going to get what rep. So you could feel the change immediately for sure. And when I first met him, I mean, he's an intense guy. He's really competitive. I mean, he's really passionate about what he does. So I knew that, if I was able to come in there and prove that I could play, prove that I could contribute, that he was going to be fair and true to his word. And that's what he did. And that's what he said. He basically said, I don't care, how many stars you had, and I don't care how many snaps you played the last 2 years. I don't care if you're an All-American. You're going to come in here and you're going to earn your spot. And I was really thankful for that, because I think that's the way it should be. Obviously, if you're a good player and you've played a lot, you should get some leeway in some certain things, but you should have to go out there and earn your spot every day. And, there were times when he was there that, I felt that too, even as an upperclassman. There was, I think, one game my senior year where I didn't start. I think it was Oklahoma State. And, me and Jason Hall, had not been playing well at the safety position for the past couple of games. And so, they went out there and they started, I think it was Deshaun and Kevin over us. And so I think that was something that helped me out too, because I ended up playing that game, and that was probably one of my best games my senior year, because it kind of brought me back after I'd started all those games. It kind of brought me back to that, that walk-on mentality. It was like, I got to go out there and prove myself. I can't just kind of, just come to practice, go through the motions. So, I was really appreciative of Coach Strong and the way he ran things and the way he coached, and, everything he did for me as far as giving me a chance. So, I know I kind of got off on a tangent there, but was there another part to that?
Sorry. No, that's good. Yeah, no, that's good. It's just, it's cool to, just to hear that perspective from the inside, of such a big position like that. And you were in a rare position, to be able to have one foot in the Mac Brown era and another foot, in the Charlie Strong era, kind of straddling that, but, it turning out to be a really good opportunity, for you, being in the position that you were at. So no, that's really cool. So obviously 2016 year was your senior year, and now we've had a full year since then. So what was it like seeing the team play, from the sideline and on TV and stuff, having to watch the guys that you played with, go out there and play? And also, what was it like seeing the huge improvement on the defense, especially in some of these big games, just really, really stepped up big, at every level, really. I mean, I thought defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, I thought you saw it at every single level. So what was that like, kind of sitting back and watching, really as a fan and as a former player?
Yeah. So, I'll say, like, when I graduated and they had started spring ball and I was doing my pro day training and stuff, I went and watched a few practices just to kind of get a feel for, what was different, just because it intrigued me so much. There was a definite change from when Mac was there to when Charlie was there in the terms of how practice went. So I just wanted to see kind of what the change was. And, they got after it, even in spring ball, and that's not, that's the time to go hard. But at the same time, when you're fresh in it after the season, guys are banged up. You want to kind of take it easy at first. They didn't do that at all. They went kind of straight into it. There's a lot of contact, which you kind of see college and professional especially shy away from now. It's more about keeping players healthy, keeping them mobile, limiting injuries. And, so a lot of that, like, old school kind of, just like bashing heads and stuff, is you don't see a lot anymore. But, I'll say they got after it. And, Coach Herman's a real competitive dude. So I knew that, the team is going to be ready to play this year. And when you talk about the defense getting so much better, I think when we played, some of the guys were young that played, and there wasn't a whole lot of depth. So a lot of guys had to get rotated in. And I think it was just tough for some people to be able to learn and kind of understand the whole defense, as freshmen and sophomores, when you have so many other things to handle as a student athlete. So I think this year they just looked a lot more, smooth and out there in terms of knowing what they were doing. And when you're able to do that, you kind of can play full speed. So I'd say that's the main difference. I think they were just out there, having fun. They knew what they were doing, so they were able to just kind of fly around.
Okay, cool, awesome. So talking about some of those guys that, we're coming up the tail end of the NFL Combine here, and a lot of these guys that you played with. So, what are your kind of projections for? I mean, you've got Connor Williams, you've got Malik Jefferson, Deshaun Elliott, Holton Hill, Poona Ford,
Hmm.
Michael Dickerson. What are your projections to how these guys are going to kind of pan out in the NFL? With you've got the
Uh,
experts,
yeah.
chatting, putting in their opinions, and the draft board rankings, and the combine, and the bench press, and all that stuff. But you know these guys, right? You know them as football players. You know them as just as guys and their
Right.
personalities. So what's your opinion on where do you see these guys falling in the NFL?
Yeah, well, I would say, don't pay too much attention to the combine. I kind of learned firsthand that can either, I mean, it can hurt you a lot. There's things that people see that they can't seem to look past. Like 40 time is huge, and there are other things. But I'll say this first. I'll start with Dixon. I think Dixon might go first round. Uh,
Mm.
so yeah, I mean, I think he has a legitimate
Weapon.
chance of getting drafted. I mean, he was one of my closest friends there, and we still stay in touch. But I mean, that kid just a really good person, really smart. Obviously incredible player. And even when I was there, I knew he was going to get a chance to make a lot of money at the next level because I mean, he is an absolute cannon for a leg. Um, but then you talk about the two DBs, Holton and Deshaun that came out. I mean, Deshaun had an incredible year, and he came from a spot where he was really not getting a ton of time. His freshman and sophomore years because he left early as a junior, and he was kind of in a rotation with me, Jason Hall, Kevin, the last 2 years. So he kind of came out this year, not having a ton of film, not having a ton of really production, and just balled out. So I mean, I think it was smart of him, leaving early, obviously taking advantage of that. I think he did well at the combine. Um, there are guys that are going to be faster than him, but I think, you can look past that when you look at his production and what he's able to do in terms of, how often he was in the backfield, the interceptions. I think that gets overlooked too because I think the guy that won the Thorpe this year, the safety from Alabama, he had like one interception, like 50 tackles. I think he won the best defensive player too, like all around. I don't know what the award's called. Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's just they hype these players up so much preseason, and then if they just don't perform terribly, they just kind of affirm them with these awards.
Right.
But you look at Deshaun's,
They,
yeah, I mean, they look at Deshaun's production. He's got way more sacks, tackles for loss. He's got more tackles. He's got 7 interceptions compared to one, and he doesn't even win the Thorpe. So I think he's a player, and his production speaks for itself. So. Aside for all the combine stuff, I think he's going to have a successful run in the NFL because, kind of like myself, he has an instinct for finding the ball. You know what I mean? And that's invaluable, especially in today's game. And same thing with Holton Hill. I mean, you saw it too from him. He had a lot of interceptions and he ran a lot back for touchdowns. And that's, people pay you a lot of money to catch those on Sunday. So, I think him and Deshaun are going to do good. And then, I'll go Connor. Connor's really, he's just a really aggressive, intense dude. He's real passionate about the game. I know him really well. And I mean, he's like, when he gets on that game field, like when he's off the field, like he's a nice person, like he's pretty cool. When he gets on the field, like it doesn't matter if you're his friend, like he's going to, kick your ass like everyone else, take you to the ground, like get in your face, like just real intense, real nasty. And that's how you have to be to play O-line. So I think he'll do well.
yeah.
And then Poona. I mean, Poona had been one of those guys when I was there. Every year I was there, he was there playing too. I mean, he had been playing as a freshman, sophomore. He was playing every year, getting production. But going back to what I said, there's certain aspects about players that scouts and teams can't seem to look past. And, one is like 40 time. If you don't run under a 4.5 or 4.6 for whatever position, then you're kind of just off the list. And for Poona, I think it's its height. And so I think, a lot of teams, it's just like, oh, let's mark him off his list. But then you have to go back and look at his production. And I think that's where the disconnect is between scouts and how they do their work. And same thing with like college and recruiting. And then, how can you actually play the game of football? Because the combine is just running, jumping, and, bench pressing. But that's not any kind of correlation to how you're going to play on the field. So, I think
Right.
Poonell, he has a chance to get drafted. I think if it's one of the later rounds, great. Even if it's a free agent deal, all you have to do is prove yourself in camp. You get a whole camp, whole summer, and then, if you make him 53, man, you're good from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point about Poona Ford is like he always stood out to me as like if it makes sense, of a guy that just always made a quiet
Hmm.
impact. You know, he's right there in the middle, and I think of guys like Casey Hampton, and that they're in a spot where if you don't kind of hear their name a lot, it usually means that they're just like mucking stuff
Hmm.
up right there in the middle, for the
Yeah.
offense. They're not the guy who's going to come off the edge and get a lot of sacks. But if he can plug the middle and just stuff that line, then teams are going to have to kind of go back to their playbook and adjust,
Right.
right? But that just doesn't, I guess, come up in the highlight reels.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
he's one of those type of players. And you look at Malik. I saw Malik's just kind of workouts at the combine, because it's always funny to hear like these guys. I could have sworn I read one report that said he had stiff hips,
Yeah.
and another report that said he had fluid hips. Right,
Yeah.
so it's like
They just throw those around.
one was
It's
on
like,
CBS.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is just, but you watch him play, and he's just like a ridiculous
Hmm.
athlete who, is just running, all over the field. Wherever the ball is, he's going to be there. He seems like, one of those types of players. But it's fun, it's really, really fun to watch these guys, chase after their dream and see how they're going to transition to the NFL, which a big part of that is the team that picks
Hmm.
them. The team that drafts them and how they're going to use them. What else does that team have
Right.
already? Are they drafting for depth? Are they drafting, for somebody to come in and play right away? So that's always an interesting part of it. So,
Yeah.
um, so just kind of sticking with like defensive backs. You look at this recruiting class that's coming in for 2018. Incredibly heavy in the defensive backs. How much have you paid attention to some of those guys who committed? And you can go to these scouting reports and sort them by rank. And I think all the guys in the class, like top 4 out of 5, are defensive
Hmm.
backs. So as a defensive back, how do you pay close attention to the recruiting classes that are coming in?
No. So here, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you my reasoning. So when I was a
All
player
right.
there, obviously coming from a walk-on, point of view, and then, earning my
Mm-hmm.
scholarship my redshirt sophomore year, and then I was playing, I got, while you said I was kind of like a fan favorite to a lot of people. Look at this kid. He's like, Rudy, he worked hard. He's here. He's playing. And then to others, there was another group that was like, why do we have a walk-on? Like, it's the University of Texas. Why do we have a walk-on playing safety? Wearing the number 44. Like, why is he back there? Like, can we not find anyone better than him? So,
Mm-hmm.
I every year there was this great recruiting class, and Coach Strong had good recruiting classes too. And I think from a fan like standpoint, I think too much emphasis gets put on recruiting, and so I think when you hype all these kids up and the fans hype them up, and whether it's Rivals or ESPN, they give them stars or whatever. All that's based on his potential. That's not saying that if you're a 5-star, you're going to come in and play immediately. I remember the first day Malik Jefferson got there, a 5-star, like our best recruit. He went out to spring ball. Like I could have played linebacker better than him. You have so much further to develop, and I think more emphasis needs to be put on the player development aspect of it rather than recruiting.
Mm.
So, going back to what I
Yeah,
was,
yeah, point.
yeah, so to what I was,
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, obviously, you know, throughout the Mac Brown era, we saw so many guys come through here, 4-star,
mm-hmm,
5-star
and never
guys,
play a
and
snap.
you can go back. Yeah, you can go back at some of those lists, and even like go back and look at some of those recruiting classes and sort by stars, right? So
Right.
put all the 4-star guys up at the top, and you're like, I don't remember that
Yeah,
guy.
like just going.
So many of them you can point. I don't remember him. I don't remember him. Oh, there's Colt McCoy, three
Yeah.
stars.
But yeah, as well, like, so when I was saying, when I was playing, they're like, oh, this recruiting class is supposed to come in. This kid's going to replace, this kid and this kid because he can run faster and do all this stuff. So I tried not to pay attention to it just for my own sake, just so like, I wasn't trying to compare myself to people or try to do things that were outside of my realm of, what I wanted to be able to accomplish there. And so then, I chose not to follow it. I didn't want to kind of get entrenched in, this kid's coming in, taking my spot. I just, like I said, went out there and did everything I could to play. And I was able to hold a lot of those guys off from playing that were, had more stars than me coming out or were better recruits or whatever. So I would just say, I don't follow the recruiting too much. Just I think it's too much to keep up with. But I'd say from tell to the fans and to people watching that although you can have good recruiting, we had, I think, one of the top 10 or top 5. We had like one year, I think it was like a huge, we had a huge recruiting class. It was awesome. And, it didn't really translate to wins and losses. So that's all just potential. And even if you have the number 1 recruiting class and you have all these 5 stars, unless you tap into that and those players, choose to develop and get better, then it's just, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Right. No, yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, you see so many of those guys come through here, and it's so many of them disappear, and then you've got 2 and 3 star guys, or guys like Dante Foreman, who was a lower recruit than his brother,
Exactly.
and now he's playing for the Texans. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely makes sense. So, what would you say is like one of your most memorable moments playing for Texas? That's something that just really sticks out as maybe a moment or best part that you'll definitely never forget.
Well, I'd say the best part, not really moment, but the best part, like I said earlier, was just kind of like not so much even like the experience on the field, although like that's the glamorous portion of it, but the people that you get to meet, the people that you get to spend, 95% of your day as a student athlete around. It's an experience. It's like nothing else. It's like having a second family in a sense. And when you get to get connected with these guys from all different parts of, the state or the country that come from all different backgrounds, you learn so much about them and about yourself. And it really allows you to grow like as a person and, as a human being. So I think that's the best part was just the people, the friendships that I made, the people that I'm still in touch with, the coaches, the mentors, everyone that helped me get through those 5 years. Are the things that I take away still to this day the most. But I would say like in terms of moments, 2 stick out. So I would say that my last year, it's not a great year, but we go up there and we play OU, and that game there's an atmosphere like unlike any other game in college football. And, I had 2 interceptions in the first quarter, and that second one just kind of came right to me. I think Brandon Jones got away with a little pass interference there, but ran it back to like the 5-yard line. And just kind of getting up and like running through the Oklahoma end zone and just like, you can just hear the crowd roar and just see the fans. And just kind of taking in all that excitement and that atmosphere. I think that's something that was just incredible. But I would say maybe the one that sticks out the most was probably my first game just in Darrell K. Royal against North Texas, my sophomore year. I go out there. I think it was like the 3rd snap of the game, 3rd down. I'm out there. I've been out there 2 snaps in, playing Division I college football, and they throw a pass. It gets tipped. I intercept it, and I kind of run it back to like the 5-yard line. And, just hearing the roar from the crowd, like I said, and then everyone like from the sideline, from the defense coming and like picking me up and like slapping me on the helmet. I think that's when I really realized like, I was there to stay. Like I had earned the right to play and to make that play. And I had done all the preparation to put myself in that position. And that was really the moment that I just really felt a part of the team and the program and the family and the community and everything kind of just came into one. And after that, I just felt a part of the program, you know what I mean? And there's really no way I can explain that or put that into words, but I felt like, because there's a walk-on. You have to imagine, obviously, if you've never been through it, but it's pretty. You're there. You get the T-shirts and the same shorts and the socks and the cleats and stuff, but like you're not contributing really. You're a practice player. You're there for the other players to get better, but we used to say all grind, no shine, right? So you go to practice, you do all the tough stuff, but you don't get anything. And so when you do get to experience that and you get to experience the shine, it's an incredible experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. You talk about spending all those 2 years feeling like you're a part of it, but you're maybe feeling like you're just not contributing. And that's what a lot of people don't see, right? That they don't see sometimes all the work that's been put in that hasn't really gotten the results just yet that you want. And then when you get those, it's got to feel good that knowing the work that you put in and the time that you put in was, it ended up being worth it. But, from fans' perspective, we don't see that a lot. Sometimes we get inside looks
Mm-hmm.
at, off-season programs and workouts and, the strength coach and, things like that. But, it's easy to not think about it and not realize all that work that goes into it, before you, really before you reach those goals. So that's a good
Yeah,
point.
kind of going off that, just kind of before we go on, like you said, the fans don't really get to see like the work, the preparation, but kind of going back to myself and then Deshaun. Deshaun had like 7 interceptions this year. I had 13 in my career, and something people always say, even with Deshaun, he had a lot. Just he's in the middle of the field, and it kind of looks like it gets thrown right to him, or a play just comes to you, and you make the fans are like, that's an easy play. I could have made that. Like, you don't understand the preparation, all of the hours of film of watching, dissecting plays, coming up with coverages, adjustments to put yourself in that position. Because when you're standing there and a ball's thrown to you, I mean, it looks easy to just catch it, but the hard part is getting to that spot. And it might look easy, but before the play, oftentimes, I mean, 70% of the snaps I played, I was able to narrow the play coming down to one or two things. And when you're able to do that, and Deshaun did it all last year, it makes it look easy. When you can do that, you're able to make all those plays. But I think it's kind of unfair sometimes when fans are like, "Oh, that looks so easy," or "It's thrown right to him," or he just picked that up, or he's wide open or something. Like, you don't understand all the hours that went in that week, the 6 a.m. film study, and to get to there. So, but that's what makes it sweet.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were saying that, I was remembering. I don't know where I read it, but I know there was a quote from Coach Strong who said something. Who was talking about you and said something like, he's always in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's an
you're
art to
right.
it.
So much study and practice and game film and all that stuff goes into it, and especially when you're watching a game on TV, like. The part I like about being at a game, I like to sit up high in the stadium because I like to see the game.
Yeah.
Like, I like to see the play develop.
Right.
Or I can watch a matchup between something that I'm not going to see on TV, right?
Mm.
But like you say, when the TV camera goes over to you making that interception, we don't see what happened before that a lot of times unless they show the replay. But yeah, you're right. You don't. You don't always get to see that stuff, so that's interesting. Well, cool. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Maybe we'll see if we have time to get some questions in here. So type them in
Ask
there.
away.
But as people are typing that, Dylan, give us a little update of what's kind of going on with you and what are you doing right now? What are you involved in? I know you've got kind of a business of your own, and obviously on the page we always want to support the players, support the program, and support former players. So tell us kind of what's going on with you these days.
Yeah, so since kind of graduating, like I said, I trained, I did the pro day, was able to go to a few NFL camps, was with the Texans, Jets, and then did a workout with the Ravens, but just no luck getting signed. So I kind of stayed in shape for that year and was just, still working out, still training. And but I kind of decided, even if I do end up making it, football is going to come to an end at some point. And so I wanted to kind of, while I was taking that time to train and work out, to kind of create a new avenue for myself, to figure out what I wanted to do after football. So, I got my real estate license. That was something that I always wanted to do when I was in college. I just never had the time. And just a few months ago, I think back in November of last year, I kind of started my own real estate business. So I'm a licensed agent for Keller Williams, and I've just been working, helping people buy, sell homes here in Austin, the surrounding areas. So, that's been incredible. Just kind of starting something up from the ground, from scratch, and not being with a team or not having like a group or team. So I'm just kind of on my own as a single agent. I'm enjoying it. It allows me to kind of use everything that I learned, playing football, being competitive, being in front of people. Everything that you learn as an athlete, you can take with you into your professional life. So it's been incredible. That's what I've been doing. I still train, and I'm actually doing this spring league thing. I don't know if any of y'all have heard about it, but there's a spring league. It's sort of like an NFL developmental league here. It's at the end of this month. It's here in Austin. Guys like Johnny Manziel playing in it, a few other guys that had been in the league. So I'm looking forward to that, and just kind of working on my
Cool.
real estate business in the meantime.
Awesome. So you really kind of got that up and running just back in November, you said?
Yeah, but it's been going well. I mean, it's tough getting started when you're in a business where you have to kind of
Okay.
get clients yourself and kind of you have to do everything yourself, right? I have to do all the marketing, the advertising, the sales, you're kind of a one-man company, so to speak. So it's been good. I stay busy. I was able to take my first listing a few weeks ago and sell it in less than 48 hours for over ask. So that was incredible. Just kind of get that affirmation of all the hard work that I've been putting in to doing it, and then finally see it come through.
Cool. What areas around Austin are you kind of working territories like Round Rock or Lake Travis or also in Austin still?
Yeah, so I do. So I mean, I live in Austin still. I live kind of near the Domain. So I mean, I can handle pretty much anything in Austin and the surrounding communities like Cedar Park, like you said, Leander, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Lago Vista, Lakeway, pretty much anything around Austin. Now, if you kind of get out towards like San Marcos or like San Antonio and stuff like that, I'd probably end up referring you to someone else that can handle that. But anything around Austin, I kind of focus on residential. So anything commercial, again, is something that I'm interested in kind of getting into when I learn a little bit more about it. But anything residential, buy, sell, invest, I can kind of do it all.
Okay, awesome. So, if people want to kind of get in touch with you or, maybe, help support you or get the word out, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I would say two ways. One, I have a website, www.dylanatx.com. That's my website, and you can go. It's just like any other, realtor website. You can look for homes. You can save homes. You can read my blog. I do a blog. I try to do it weekly. Just kind of on updates on, articles that I think are helpful. I work with a lot of young people, a lot of first-time home buyers. So, differentiating the different types of loans, where interest rates are going this next year, how to sell a home, how to buy a home, how to treat it like an investment, how to do a whole lot of different things. So my website, dylanatx.com. And then I have a Facebook business page. That's just facebook.com/dylanatx. You can go like that, follow that. My blog's posted in there, and you can kind of just stay in touch. You can message me on there. My phone number, my cell, email is all on my website and on the business page as well. So if you ever have any questions about real estate or, you're thinking about buying or selling, feel free to message me. I'd love to walk you through that process.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we got some people posting the link in there. So yeah, thanks to Sandra, and I've got your Facebook page posted in there. So cool. Some of these comments or questions I have got my laptop open to see if I could read some. But I saw a couple of people asking, what is your favorite road stadium to play in? What was your favorite road stadium and maybe road atmosphere to play in?
I don't know if it counts, but the Red River rivalry, obviously. But if kind of excluding that, I think that's the number one. I mean, that's just something it's just unlike anything else. I mean, even playing in DKR, when you have 100,000 people just in that stadium, just kind of seeing the divide of orange and then maroon, and you get like the roars and then the boos coming from like two different sides. And it just kind of meets in the middle. It's just, it's unreal. But other than that, I never liked playing at Tech because they had some of the worst like turf. Their turf, I swear, the turf was like a half-inch thick, and it was concrete underneath, and it was like tough. It was just like the hardest, like physically hardest field. So I did like playing there, but I think another really cool place to play was at Kansas State. So those, it's not the biggest stadium, but those fans are really intense, and they get into it. So I think that was a tough place to play. We always had trouble with them as a team, so I'd probably say that one.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, I'm trying to see if there's any more that rolled through here. I've got a couple of OU Sooner trolls on here, looks like.
Of course.
So it looks like one guy was just asking, who do you feel like is the best player that you've played with? Or maybe you can do a two-parter. Who's the best that you played with, and who's the best that you played against?
Best that I played with. The best that I played against. Well, I would say the best. Okay, so the best I played, because the question I get a lot is like, who's the best receiver you covered, or because I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
about player because I couldn't really speak toward like an O lineman where I never had contact with them. But I would say in terms of like receivers that I played against, two really stand out. There was, I think, the best would have been Tyler Lockett from Kansas State. I mean I mean
Mm.
he plays it with Seattle now. I think he ended up getting hurt maybe last year, but I mean, dude was just really technique wise, he was really proficient in like the routes he ran. How many steps he took. He was real shifty, real quick. Wasn't like the biggest dude. He was real fast though, real deceptively fast, and just his technique was incredible. So it was really tough to read him, kind of coming out of his routes, what he was going to run. And oftentimes when you get just like an athlete as a receiver, he'll have tells where he'll tell you if he's leaning this way, he's going there. But he was just real smooth. He didn't give anything away, and he was tough to tackle. So I think he was probably one of the best receivers I played against. And then Sterling Shepard from Oklahoma, really solid player. And then played with, I it's weird. So the best player that I probably played with in person was actually a guy. He was at Texas. He played O-line. Des Harrison. That'd probably be my answer. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's actually at the combine this last year.
I don't think so.
He was like a JUCO transfer from California and coming to Texas. Ended up leaving and transferring somewhere else. But he was there, I think, 1 year when I was there. It was my first year playing, and I mean that dude was just an absolute freak. I mean he played O-line, so I never really had a whole lot of contact with him, but just super athletic, super big. I mean he looked the part. He's really fast. So I think he ran like a 4.7 at the combine. And I remember this one play in practice, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. But it was like my first year playing. We had this safety like A-gap blitz play. It was called Psycho. So I come down there, and I'm like about to blitz the A-gap in practice, and he's playing tackle. And we had to check if it was an option play, I would come back and I would just run down the line, whichever way the option would go. So I think it was David Ash playing quarterback. He checks option, so I check out of the blitz, and so they're about to run option to my left, their right. So he snaps it. They start running. I take off down the line. Des Harrison just steps up and kind of catches me off guard, just shoves me, just two hands in my chest. I flew about 5 yards back, just landed straight on my back. And I was like, God, that was just, it was rough. It was a rough day. I mean, when that happened, I was like, wow, This dude is just an absolute monster. He's a freak. So, he's probably the best player I'd seen in person and played with. I didn't play with him long, but I mean, just in terms of watching someone play the game, being that athletic and that size, I think obviously he got invited to the combine, so I think he's a good player. It'll just be interesting to see how he does, at the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Well, let's wrap up here. We're getting close to coming up on about 50 minutes. So let's wrap up with just give us a little bit more about you. Maybe just do some kind of quick hit, quick fire questions. So I don't know, favorite movie.
Favorite movie? I would say Wedding Crashers. It's a really good movie. I really like that movie. Yeah.
All right. Let's do Marvel or DC. How about that?
I don't pay a whole lot of. I mean, so I would probably say Marvel just because the Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite sport other than football?
Golf. I love to play golf. I played last weekend. I'm going to go this weekend. I wish I was a lot better. I mean, I'm pretty good, but I wish I was good enough to play on tour, but I'm not. But I love playing golf.
All right. So if you had to pick in a game, so let's say 3 interceptions in a game and no tackles,
okay,
or no interceptions and 20 tackles, and every tackle is just a monster.
I mean, so it's weird. So from a personal standpoint, having 3 interceptions in a game is crazy. So that would be awesome. But I know from a player standpoint, that's not even a question to me. It would be the tackles, because I know if you have 3 interceptions in a game and no tackles, and you go into film the next day, the coach is gonna be like, "What? Why aren't you making plays? Why aren't you making tackles?" But if you have 20 tackles, I think the most I ever had in a game was 14, and that's a pretty good amount, especially for a safety. So
yeah.
At that point, though, your body it feels like you got hit by a car. But I would say probably the 20 tackles, just because that's a little bit more productive on the field.
Okay. All right. So what position would you play on offense? if you were invited to come play on offense, what position would you play?
Oh, I'd have to play.
What would you want to play?
I'd want to play quarterback, but I kind of messed up my shoulder one of my years, but so I could never throw. I could never throw again like that. But it's funny. I played receiver in high school, so that was something that when I was coming out of high school, I'd been playing receiver my senior year. I played a little bit of safety, and I played corner my junior year in high school. So I was that's another reason I might have not been recruited as much, because I'd played a little bit of mostly receiver, a little bit of quarterback, a little bit of safety, a little bit of corner. I didn't really have a definite position, but I met with my high school coach when I was trying to get myself recruited, and I was like what do you think I should do? He's like, well, first of all, I think you need to play safety, because I think you don't have to be as fast to play safety than to play wideout. And, you've got that natural instinct, and you can put yourself in front of the ball and make plays that way. And so I was like, okay, I'll listen. I think, if I get a little bit bigger, I can, play a safety. So it would definitely have to be a receiver, because that's just kind of what I came from playing in high school. I love to have the ball. I love to run routes, catch the ball. And, I was able to take a little bit of that for playing receiver to the safety position. I always like to tell myself I had the best hands in the Big 12. In terms of catching interceptions stuff. I don't think I ever dropped one. So, I think it'd probably be a receiver.
Okay. All right. So a couple last things. How about favorite barbecue place in Austin?
Favorite barbecue? God, I know there's like a lot of, it's Austin. There's like Franklin's, whatever. I'd probably say Rudy's. I love Rudy's. I grew up eating Rudy's.
Really?
Yeah. Rudy's is good.
All right. So all-time favorite Longhorns football player?
So Colt McCoy's got to be in there. That was like, I'm talking about just the guys that I kind of grew up watching. So my parents went there. My dad had season tickets, so I'd go on and watch those guys play. Earl Thomas, another guy that was just, an absolute legend there. Just played the safety position the way it's supposed to be played. Incredible player. Vince Young, obviously. Grew up watching him. Watched that national championship game. That's an easy one. Probably those three stick out.
Okay.
Jordan Shipley, another one. Yeah, got to play with Jackson. Both those people are incredible people. And then I spoke with his dad a lot when he was there working. He's still there working. I don't know what his position is, but. Jordan Shipley, another guy, because I played receiver in high school, so white dude just out there balling, so I looked up to him.
Okay. So what was your favorite part about being at Texas outside of the football program, outside of the team? Just what was your favorite part? Maybe it's the school, the brand, being in Austin. Something outside of the program.
The people. I love Austin. I'm from Austin. I grew up in Austin. I love the city. So I fell in love with the atmosphere just because I'd been here my whole life, and this city was everything that I needed. It was really great. You got the lake, you got the downtown, you got a lot of cool different areas. You got the pride and tradition from the university that both my parents went to, and we're athletes at. So. It meant a lot to me coming here, and just being able to be here and be a part of this university was incredible to me. But like I said, the people I was able to meet, just like from all different aspects of being an athlete, right? Just from teachers, from other students in classes that weren't athletes, from the other athletes that I met, the athletes from other sports, the mentors I had, the academic staff there, the tutors that I met, just building relationships with every single one of those people, and getting to get all these different, perspectives from different people that are from different parts of life and from the country and the state. And so, meeting all those people, being able to stay in touch, being able to go back to the university and be a part of that, and stay in touch with those people just means a ton to me.
All right. Well, cool, man. Listen, I really appreciate the time. I appreciate you jumping on here with us tonight, and a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. It was a lot of fun.
It was good.
I had a lot of fun, but thanks for everything, and good luck. Good luck in the business. Everybody, head on over DylanATX.com. Check out the business.
Yeah. Or Facebook
like I said, we always want to support.
Like my business page.
Yeah.
Read my blog.
Yeah, read the blog. But I pinned your business page in the comments too, so everybody crawl to the top of the comments and go like his page. Definitely, we always want to support everybody. So, but yeah, I appreciate the time, Dylan. Definitely keep in touch. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. All right, man. Well, you have a good
All
night.
right.
We'll see you.
You too. Hook 'em.